Fellow gardeners, let me share something that completely transformed my vegetable garden, and it wasn't a fancy fertilizer or expensive equipment. It was learning to work with nature's most underrated garden helpers, earthworms. These soil engineers can turn your struggling vegetable patch into a thriving ecosystem, but only if you know how to invite them to the party. After years of experimenting in my own garden, I've discovered that the secret isn't just about having good soil. It's about creating an environment where worms want to live, work, and multiply. The game changer? Strategic companion planting with worm-attracting plants that naturally draw these beneficial creatures to your vegetable beds. Before we dive into the plants themselves, let's talk about why worms are absolute gold for vegetable growers. These incredible creatures are constantly aerating your soil, breaking down organic matter, and leaving behind castings that are basically nature's perfect fertilizer. One earthworm can process its own body weight in organic matter every single day, creating nutrient-rich castings that contain 5 times more nitrogen, 7 times more phosphorus, and 11 times more potassium than regular soil. In my experience, gardens with healthy worm populations consistently outperform those without. The soil structure improves dramatically, water retention increases, and plants develop stronger root systems that can access nutrients more efficiently. But here's the thing, worms won't just show up on their own. You need to create the right conditions and plant the right companions. The magic happens when you understand what worms actually want. They're drawn to areas with consistent moisture, organic matter, and specific types of root systems that create the perfect microenvironment. Certain plants naturally attract worms through their root exudates, leaf litter, and the way they modify soil chemistry. I've found that plants with fibrous root systems tend to be particularly effective at attracting worms. These roots create networks of channels that worms love to explore, while also providing a steady supply of organic matter as older roots decompose. Additionally, plants that produce regular leaf drop or have high sugar content in their root systems act like magnets for earthworms. The key to success is thinking of your garden as interconnected zones rather than isolated beds. I like to create what I call worm highways, pathways of attractive plants that encourage worms to move throughout the entire garden space. This ensures that the benefits of worm activity spread to all your vegetable crops, not just the areas immediately around the attracting plants. So, to get started, you want to identify the naturally moist areas of your garden. These are usually the spots that, stay damp a bit longer after watering, or maybe areas with slight depressions where water tends to collect. These locations are just perfect for establishing your primary worm-attracting plants. They'll serve as breeding grounds for worm populations that can, over time, spread throughout your whole garden. White clover has really become my go-to ground cover for creating worm-friendly environments. This nitrogen-fixing legume, it not only attracts worms with its dense root system, but it also improves soil fertility at the same time. Personally, I like to plant it in the pathways between my vegetable beds and use it as a living mulch around larger plants like tomatoes and peppers. The clover stays low, doesn't compete aggressively with the vegetables, and, honestly, it provides a constant supply of organic matter as it naturally dies back and then regrows. Comfrey is another absolute powerhouse that, in my opinion, is essential for any serious worm-attracting strategy. Its deep taproot brings nutrients up from the lower soil layers, and those big leaves create perfect hiding spots for worms during hot weather. I like to plant comfrey at the corners of my vegetable beds, and I use the leaves as mulch throughout the season. The worms just love tunneling through decomposing comfrey leaves. Buckwheat serves as an excellent cover crop that attracts worms while also benefiting your vegetables. I sow it between crop rotations and in areas where I'm preparing new beds. The shallow root system is perfect for worms to navigate, and when you chop and drop the plants, they decompose quickly, feeding the worm population while adding organic matter to the soil. Don't overlook the humble dandelion, which many gardeners unfortunately view as a weed. I've learned to appreciate dandelions as worm magnets, especially in areas where I'm trying to break up compacted soil. Their deep tap roots create channels that worms follow, and the regular leaf drop provides consistent organic matter. I let a few dandelions grow strategically around my garden, particularly near root vegetables that benefit from the improved soil structure. The most successful approach I've found is to create layered planting schemes that work on multiple levels. At ground level, I establish low-growing plants like white clover and wild strawberries that create dense mats of organic matter. In the middle layer, I incorporate plants like comfrey and nettle that provide both worm habitat and useful garden resources. The upper layer consists of my main vegetable crops, which benefit from all the worm activity happening below. I've learned to plan these layouts seasonally. In spring, I focus on fast-growing annuals like buckwheat and phacelia that quickly establish worm populations. Summer plants like cowpeas and crimson clover maintain the habitat during hot weather while providing nitrogen fixation. Fall plantings of winter rye and vetch keep the worm populations active even during cooler months. Plants alone won't create a thriving worm population. You need to support them with proper habitat management. I've developed a system that combines the right plants with strategic mulching and composting practices. The key is maintaining consistent moisture levels while providing a steady supply of organic matter. The real payoff comes when you start seeing the results in your vegetable crops. I've noticed that tomatoes planted near my worm-attracting zones consistently produce larger fruits with better flavor. Root vegetables like carrots and radishes grow straighter and larger in soil that's been worked by active worm populations. Leafy greens develop deeper color and more robust growth when they have access to worm-enriched soil. The transformation doesn't happen overnight, but the results are worth the patience. Start small with 1 or 2 worm-attracting plants in your existing garden, then gradually expand as you see the benefits. Remember that building a thriving worm population is an investment in your garden's long-term health and productivity. Ready to revolutionize your vegetable garden with the power of strategic worm-attracting plants? I'd love to hear about your experiences and answer any questions you might have. If this article helped you understand how to create better growing conditions for your vegetables, please subscribe to Soilsage Chronicles for more in-depth gardening insights. And don't forget to share this with fellow gardeners who are ready to work with nature instead of against it. Together, we can create gardens that truly thrive from the ground up.